As a visual artist and researcher, my practice concerns the materiality of painterly and sculptural substances and object-oriented philosophies. I'm interested in how different material languages articulate ideas about visibility, accessibility, and the remoteness of objects. New materialism and the turn to matter is of great significance now perhaps more than ever. And within that philosophy lies object-oriented ontology, or OOO, a school of metaphysical thought that explores the relationality of all things. Critically, OOO proposes a framework that does not place human endeavour and understanding at the centre of its quest. My interest in OOO, painting and sculpture, is the basis for this exploration into the agency of organic and inorganic materials, as well as their potential to exist and operate in a land beyond human perception. I've devised a way of working that I call Painting Plus. Painting, sculpture, drawing, and installation. I believe that such a methodology can provide expanded notions of what paintings and sculptures can constitute, spatially, materially, and theoretically. In turn, this has the potential to answer questions about materials and their inherent knowledge and agency in the world. The overarching question at this stage of research is identifying how the art object itself is the location of new knowledge and the product of research. In order to respond to this central question, 3 key areas of research are explored in the following questions. How can we make sense of what happens in the studio beyond the parameters of logic and language? What does it mean to grant an interiority to the life of objects? And can this serve the planet and its inhabitants? Can the traditionally human pursuit of making artworks be reconciled with a non-humanist view of the world? So first of all, how do we make sense of what happens in the studio beyond the parameters of logic and language? How do we explore materiality on materials terms, whilst being aware of the anthropological and logocentric constraints that can limit, but also can extend our perception of things as humans? New materialist thinker Graham Harman states that OOO artworks tend to be more interested in pointing out how objects exist, act, and live beyond the realm of human perception. A paradox of sorts given the contrived nature of artworks. Meanwhile, philosopher Jane Bennett says of new materialism, the aim is to articulate the elusive idea of a materiality that is itself heterogeneous, itself a differential of intensities, itself a life. In this strange, vital materialism, there is no point of pure stillness, no indivisible atom that is not itself a quiver with virtual force. Rather than forcing materials to service an idea, we can honour the agency of matter and the way it behaves by reorienting our approach to working alongside it as a guide and facilitator. I'll be listening for the voice and observing the activity of materials, which allows the presence of matter to emerge. My research methods will include using physical materials, representation, and metaphor as different ways of considering the perception of objects and materiality. So next, what does it mean to grant an interiority to the life of objects, and can this idea serve the planet and its inhabitants? Bennett proposes that understanding consumptive practices of humans means we need to understand the non-human components at work that are inside social practices. To experience the relationship between persons and other materialities more horizontally is to take a step toward a more ecological sensibility. Central to exploring the vitality of materials and life forces are philosopher Henry Bergson's Élan vital and biologist Hans Dries Entelechy and the notion of Bildungstrieb, or formative drive, which I believe can be linked with the idea of materia prima in alchemy. Additionally, I believe that Harman's theory of black noise is of great significance to visual artists through expanding our holistic understanding of materials. Bennett states, such a newfound attentiveness to matter and its powers will not solve the problem of human exploitation or oppression, but it can inspire a greater sense of the extent to which all bodies are kin, in the sense of inextricably enmeshed in a dense network of relations. So finally, can the traditionally academic, mind-based human pursuit of making artworks be reconciled with a non-humanist way of seeing the world? If the nature of painting, for example, is primarily about painting, not about the world, in what ways can this be a suitable method to explore matter's relationship to objects other than humans in the world? Abstract painter Edwin Ruda states that what one is unable to indicate or designate in a painting is just what provides its generative force. Similarly, in the works of Jessica Stockholder, Phillida Barlow, and Katharina Gross, we can see colour's ability to set its own agenda, asserting itself simultaneously as an element in its own right, alongside being a property of form. Can colour operate as an agentic force, and if so, of what significance is this? If, as Cézanne said, all painting paints the birth of things, the coming unto itself of the visible, then painting for this reason supposedly involves taking root again in our bodily being in the world, as well as a new revealing thereof. It figures and amplifies the metaphysical structure of our flesh, or again it awakens and brings alive the elusive logic of the perceived world. A proposition of painting plus can be a way of touching, but not grasping, at the metaphysical structure of the world, the ever-elusive, indefinable otherness, the otherworldly life force that maintains a glass upright and that resonates through a shining strand of golden thread.